We are mute, but not without power. We are silent, but not without resolve. We are untouchable, but not without courage. We are sisters, and have but one father. We are seekers, and we shall find our prey. We are warriors, and woe to those we oppose. The Emperor's mark is on our brow. All who deal with the warp must beware. His judgment and vengeance is ours to deliver.
The Imperium of Man requires myriad organizations to maintain order throughout a war-ravaged galaxy. Dangers such as the mutant, the alien, and the heretic, all demanding bespoke creeds to stem their threats posed to humanity's domains. The rampant outbreaks of witches and sorcerers, arguably the most dangerous of all. Yet mankind can never sever ties to the warp due to its reliance on its elements to travel the stars, harness its martial might, and feed its carrion emperor. Yet to harvest its power, an order of pariahs embark upon the void to gather such psychic souls. For today, we shall elucidate the military branch of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, armed with abilities to thwart all influence made by the Psyker. The Null Maidens of the Emperor, the Sisters of Silence. During the era of the Great Crusade, the Master of Mankind ventured past the boundaries of the Sol system to reunite the disparate fragments of humanity, the remnants of long-dead species and forgotten nightmares of old night, demanding a variety of countermeasures to reclaim the stars. His infamous foe of the Unification Wars, the Unspeakable King, rumored to be the impetus of the origins of the Null Maidens during the Age of Strife. Records of Hollow Ones, who shared his warp-dampening powers, fought in the Tyrant's name, until pledging fealty to the Master of Mankind. Though the ill-fated Thunder Legion fought at the vanguard of the Emperor's conquest, his custodian guard rarely strayed from his side, their might sundering the techno-barbarians of Terra before their glorious leader silenced the crack of thunder with aid from a new breed of dour angels. Nevertheless, the Golden Host, as was intended by their design, bore no mutations within their bloodline. Their lack of psychic powers a glaring weakness, no matter their unmatchable skill with blade and bolter, as they stood resolute, guarding the Master of Mankind. Losses incurred by martial threats proving minimal during the Unification Wars, far greater were casualties wrought by sorcerers and warp possession. The raw might of the Emperor's armies, unable to effectively combat such foes, without the Master of Mankind or his Sigilite's personal intervention. Ordering the tech adepts of Mars to construct the League of Black Ships to embark upon the void of space, the fledgling paramilitary organization heed the commands of a cabal of Primaris-level psychers of the nascent Scholastica Psychana. Originally known as the Departamento Investigatis, this mysterious order, given authority by the Eternal Monarch, hunted renegade psychers whilst capturing those with potential to benefit the Imperium. The Astra Telepathica, tasked with facilitating communication for a galaxy-spanning empire, due to the intense nature of their work and threats posed by the Immaterium, a steady tide of new recruits were required to replenish their losses. Apprehending wayward mutants and purging those too far gone to be redeemed, any and all methods would be used to carry out their duty. The possibility of uprisings, demonic possession, and rampant outbursts of warp energies, too fatal to be handled gently. The initial records of the Departamento, citing massive losses made to the Imperium's war effort, the organization's greatest failings would coalesce during the cataclysm of Pentaconeus. The impoverished hive world, solar weeks distance from the throne world, tithing portions of its overpopulated masses of billions, the frontier outpost descended into infighting as vice and corruption took root. A hive cult known as the Final Banquet, mobilizing within the slum sector of Distempora, under the guidance of their Holy Family, rumors of miracles began to convince the populace of their divine authority. The League of Black Ships descended upon Distempora in search of their leader, the resultant bloodshed caused by the Departamento Investigatis so violent that none know the losses incurred nor the cause of the means to which their gun cutters and crew were lost. Declaring a state of emergency upon Pentaconaeus, madness spread among the populace, its imperial governor slain by his own bodyguards, as the influence of the Immaterium held sway over the planet. Captain Gigan Diantes, master of the Black Ship's fleet, though petitioning aid from the 6th Legion, the Space Wolves knew their arrival would not be swift enough, and so resorted to desperate measures to contain the spread of chaos. Deploying the so-called Daughters of the Crow, drawn from the nameless feral world designated 913 of the Segmentum Solar, this auxiliary regiment, which had caused infighting between their peers, proved effective at restoring order. Regarded by the subjects of the Imperium as untouchables, these rare few, cursed with the genetic mutation known as the pariah gene, bore no connection to the warp. All efforts to identify such an anachronistic gene proving fruitless, as untold Imperial archaeotechnologists and Mechanicus biologists failed to ascertain its root cause, the Master of Mankind declared that all efforts to investigate cease, as his own insights failed to reproduce such a phenomena. Losing not a single soldier to the psychic contamination, Captain Diantes, as a scholar of the Scholastica Psychana, knew without a shadow of a doubt that such warriors bore disproportionate numbers of soldiers with the pariah gene. Suddenly suffocating the will of their enemies from them, the Daughters of the Crow severed the miasma controlling the populace until the rout arrived in system and deployed onto the surface. More than 1 billion souls perished by the guns of the Space Wolves, as more than half the surface of Pentaconaeus burned, and while many cite this instance as happenstance, more skeptical scholars believed that the blood spilt by the Daughters of the Crow was by no means caused by coincidence. Arguing such a battle to be orchestrated by the Master of Mankind himself, as a means to field test such warriors at the cost of billions of lives. Inevitably, such aspersions cannot be proven with such scant records at hand. Regardless, thus was a new order of knights created in imitation of the Daughters of the Crow. A covert and eerie mirror to the Emperor's gleaming honor guard, which would combat foes beyond even their ken. Their value to the Emperor unquestionably vital as his armies cleansed the galaxy of corruption. Those pariahs unsuitable for the Sisterhood found purpose within the Colexus Temple of the Officio Assassinorum and Legio of the Ordo Sinister, as they devised new methods of harnessing such power. Whether a quirk of evolution, ancient Xenos tampering, or evidence of the fell dark age of technology, it mattered not. For while the Legiones Astartes and Custodian Guard proved exceptional warriors, on rare instances, the Daughters of the Abyss would be needed to combat that which they could not. Now organized into an elite force capable of using their genetic flaw for the benefit of the Imperium. 4 decades following the dawn of the Great Crusade, the Sisters of Silence assumed command of the Departamento Investigatis, an all-female order of knights raised in isolation by those unaffected by their gene curse, while the Adeptus Astra Telepathica procured new aspirants to burgeon their number. Each year, new sisters swore their vow of silence. Records of the planet designated 913, redacted from the Cartographica Imperialis. To this day, the planet of Pentaconaeus remains as a reminder of the fate befalling all renegade psychers who side with the thralls of chaos. Retaining a standing battalion of sisters to fight by his side, the Master of Mankind, though a psyker in nature, dwarfed the powers of such blanks as the single most powerful conduit of the Immaterium. Perceiving the Master of Mankind as little more than a mortal man, the Null Maidens, though able to pierce the visage cast by their monarch's psychic presence, do not diminish his standing as the undisputed ruler of humanity. Waging constant battles to purge the rogue elements of witches during Imperial compliances, these 1 in a trillion soul-inert beings proved to be among the Emperor's finest companions. Sacrificing all hope for a typical life upon birth, though their presence invites only hatred and mistrust, the Silent Sisters regardless continue to fight in the name of the Imperium with distinction throughout the entirety of the 31st millennium. The dream of the Emperor to relinquish mankind's reliance on superstition and belief thwarted by the efforts of the War Master of Chaos, Horus Lupercal, each Daughter of the Abyss fell during the conflict of the Horus Heresy, would prove irreplaceable in his fight against chaos. Deployed once again at the side of the Space Wolves Legion during the burning of Prospero and fighting at the front lines of the war within the Webway, Even atop the walls of the Imperial Palace, the Null Maidens refused to stand idle as the traitors sought to depose their ruler from his golden throne. Bequeathed absolute autonomy by the High Lords of Terra following the final battle of the Siege of Terra, with the civil war for humanity's soul concluded, those without such an effervescent attribute would stand as among its mightiest guardians. Acceding to the request of Malcador the hero to gather 1,000 psychically gifted souls each day to temporarily sate the Golden Throne's hunger before his own soul was consumed, the mistresses of the Black Ships conduct their dour duty to this day to sacrifice millions of human lives to its gilded embrace. Monitoring the Adeptus Astra Telepathica for signs of impending chaos outbreaks, particularly gifted maidens even serve at the side of witch hunters of the Inquisition's Ordo Hereticus. A small subset of veterans of the Great War of Humanity, developing means to suppress their pariah auras, though some managed to live among outposts and settlements for a time, none could hide their otherness for long. Inevitably cast out from their families, even should they bear children, the curse of their uncanny presence ironically resulting in being burnt at the stake, or damning their own children to a life of similar misfortune. Destined to fight in the shadows, even within the Sol system, the Sisterhood must be careful to plan their gatherings for fear of outbursts of violence within their domains. The presence of the pariah gene, merciless in its ability to turn loved ones, comrades and allies against its bearer, this army of tens of thousands of warrior women preclude themselves from everyday life to protect those they cherish from themselves. Delivering their cargo of sacrifices without hesitation nor failure to meet the Golden Throne's demands, a single Psyker pledged to feed the throne is so valuable that even whole battalions of Arbiters who escort them to the Sisters are expendable. The location of each processing world, known only to the navigators of the League of Black Ships, countermeasures such as auto-incinerators are fitted to each cargo hold should their chattel breach the seals of their confines. In time cast out from the Imperium, following the era of the Great Scouring, the High Lords of Terra soon realized their folly with the resurgence of the Orc species during the 32nd millennium. Combating the War of the Beast as among the most crucial elements which prevented disaster, humanity's proclivity to choose comfort over security would be realized during the Age of Apostasy. Disbanding the Silent Sisterhood during the 36th millennium, though several enclaves of Null Maidens refused to abandon the Imperium, only those allied with the Custodian Guard of Terra would be protected from the frenzied masses. Vaunted for their service, fighting beside the Golden Host at the defense of the Lionsgate spaceport during the time of ending, with Primarch Rabute Guilliman's resurgence as the Lord Commander of the Imperium, the Null Maidens once more took the fight to the Emperor's enemies. Combating demon Primarchs, ancient traitor legions, and resurgent champions of the ruinous powers, now reinstated as part of the Imperial war effort by the Avenging Sun, the Era Indomitus hearkens the rejuvenation of the Silent Sisterhood's glories. Remembering well their pedigree during the battles of the Horus Heresy, and trust placed by the Master of Mankind in their creed, Guilliman's declaration of the Dispensatus Anathema rallied his allies made during the Battle of Luna to fight as part of his Indomitas crusade. The once disparate fragments of their order driven into hiding out of necessity, 3,000 Null Maidens gathered for the vigil Indomitus as their newly established cadres embarked to join each battle group of the Avenging Sun's crusade. Having diverged significantly from their ideals of old, the Sisters now worshipped the Master of Mankind as a god, much to the surprise of Guilliman, their offshoots far from Terra's domains, fostering superstitious beliefs. Tasked with missions befitting their unique talents, while some cadres toiled to infiltrate the Eldar domains of the Webway to subvert their missions made to harm humanity, other pariahs target densely populated demon outposts, knowing their presence to diminish their enemies' powers. Their self-reliance allowing many of their number to pursue missions of their own devising, their independent fleets now roam the galaxy, having proven exceptionally gifted at parting warp storms by projecting null fields to breach the Great Rift. Such efforts capable of spreading escalating fear through their allies' ranks and overwhelming their astropathic choirs, the discipline required by the Sisters to stem eldritch horrors beyond the pale, nonetheless can also harm their peers. As part of the collective known as the Talons of the Emperor, the Sisters of Silence answer directly to the commands of the Emperor or Lord Regent of Terra, their ties to the Adeptus Astra Telepathica waning with their slow decline over the millennia. Punishing planetary governors who fail to produce adequate tithes or expunge psychic outbursts effectively, Even the domains of the ecclesiarchy and priesthood of Mars are not beyond the judgment of these enforcers of the Emperor's will. Each candidate of this silent creed undergoing grueling physical regimes to bolster their strength beyond the skill of all conventional mortal warriors. While not benefiting from organ implantations, a Sister of Silence is more than a match against even a Space Marine. Though lacking the constitution or strength of an Astartes, their speed is surpassed only by the Golden Host. Their equipment of the highest quality, protecting them from small arms fire, whilst their pariah aura swiftly distracts and diminishes their opponent's focus. Swearing the vow of tranquility upon attaining full membership of their organization, no utterance shall pass from their lips, whether war cry or ranting boasts of honor and glory. Adding to their unnerving demeanor as they skulk the battlefield, these warriors forged from childhood must not allow even a grunt of pain nor exertion to sully their oath. Secrecy upheld as their utmost responsibility, the unique gorget upon each panoply of the Sisterhood resembles a death head, not unlike to the chaplain order of the Adeptus Astartes. Communicating through sign language known as Fortmark, the vast majority of humanity, whether mortal or transhuman in nature, have no concept as to the gestures made by such warriors. Such ancient conventions, often requiring their companions of the Golden Host to accompany them to their tithes. Immensely complex in its implementation, such a quirk is not unintentional. For while a Master of Fortmark can swiftly interact with their peers, those who need not know their intent are prevented from unearthing the secrets of their order. Incorporating Adeptus Astartes battle sign, Void Sys, and Graph Binar military communication when needed, though the intricacies of Fortmark are eschewed, their more terse battle mark is more than capable of matching verbal orders in battle. Sending transmissions transcribed in a written form of Fortmark known as Orskade, this machine-legible, mechanical chatter of clicks to the untrained ear sounds like nothing more than unorganized words. Ostensibly a special forces unit of warriors, their skill wielding a blade is incredible to behold. Their nimble frames emphasizing great martial skill with minimal expense of energy or wasted motion. Biased towards close quarters combat by virtue of their need to combat psychic opponents who often strike from afar for lack of physical might, their tendency to be numerically outnumbered is countered by high-intensity rapid strikes. Immune to fear, conditioned as they are to combat threats spawned from the depths of hell itself. Though each sister understands concepts such as glory and honor, duty alone is reward enough for their service well made. Willing to conduct stealth operations, infiltration, and surveillance maneuvers to achieve success, none understand the value of sudden terrifying shock, alike to these talons of the Emperor. Allowing their allies to become collateral damage should they defy their mission parameters. Not even the Adeptus Astartes are above the authority of the Silent Sisterhood, for they are like to custodian guard, enact the will of the Emperor himself. Their Baroque armor and hairstyling retaining traces of humanity's barbaric past, the Null Maidens are set to cut their hair only should they have failed in their duties. The mere touch of a silent sister capable of inducing fits of vomiting to a mortal human, many a veteran opposed to their will has underestimated the unease felt when combating such wrens in reality, once their restraint to contain their presence is released. Certain organizations, such as the Chamber Militant of the Ordo Malleus, the Grey Knights, unwilling to fight by the side of the Silent Sisterhood. Though they respect their abilities as warriors, few of their order can stand their presence and are content to watch their deeds from afar. A combination of both a clandestine and governing body of the Imperium, their enigmatic standing is all but impervious to most branches of the Adeptus Terra. Each fleet of their League of Black Ships, a ballpark for the size of their forces, it is believed as many as tens of thousands of Witch Seekers are active at present, mimicking the original three most powerful officers within their ranks. Knight Commander Janisha Kroll, the Soulless Queen, Mistress of the Black Ships Veronica Sulaf, and Nemesis Praxia, Eben Naroda, dividing their responsibilities to effectively partition the Divisio Investigatis into a fighting force capable of acting independently from all other branches of the Imperium's war machine. The largest subdivision of their order, known as the Chamber of Vigilance, each sister comprising such a creed, facilitates their utmost important duty to garrison worlds and collect psychers from them for the Great Tithe. The Chamber Astra is responsible for the safekeeping of the Black Ships, the only portion of the Silent Sisterhood not to be scattered during the Age of the Imperium, due to their need to rapidly protect their charges from raiders en masse. Members of the Chamber Oblivion, containing the most elite members of their order, such as Vigilators. The most promising of warriors from their ranks are chosen to earn their place as future Oblivion Knights and Knights Centura. Meanwhile, the Chamber of Judgment incorporates the silent judges of the Excruciatus, this far more dreaded creed executing dangerous witches throughout the expanse of humanity's domains. Unchanged in structure until the era Indomitus with the return of the Avenging Sun to the fold of the Imperium, another branch of the Sisterhood, known as the Vigil Indomitus, established satellite outposts throughout the Sol system in order to rally their forces into battle groups before attaching their might to the passing Crusade of Guilliman. Diverting portions of their might across the domains of the Imperium to establish new Vigil strongholds far from Terra's light. Outposts such as those found within Darius Free, the Segretes Nebula, or Oshan's Belt typically allow 1,000 Null Maidens to effectively run vigils to confront the threat of chaos. Each sister retaining the heraldry of their once isolated creeds, whether garbed in the bone white and red of the outer solar sector, blue and silver of Hrav Ulan, or gleaming gold of Terra. Every cadre of the Sisterhood uses symbology of predatory animals. Raptors, falcons, leopards and lynxes, acting as totemic symbols of their martial skill. Each cadre is equivalent to a Space Marine company in size, though it is a rare sight for any such band of warriors to fight with their assembled might. Combining several cadres on rare occasions to combat specific threats of the utmost importance. Examples such as the 5 cadres of the Triventine Vigil patrol the domains of the Salamander's homeworld of Nocturne to stem the high rate of psychic outbreaks across the sector's trade routes. Rediscovering long-displaced bands of their creed with each passing solar year, the Silent Sisterhood burgeons with the implementation of the Dispensatus Anathema, bolstered by the favor of both the Master of Mankind and Lord Commander Guilliman. To train a pariah in the form of a Silent Sister is a laborious task, for while aspirants are rare in the extreme, the process of training them whittles down their few numbers into 1 in a trillion individuals. Acolytes, not having earned their pedigree, are known as Sisters-in-Waiting, their slow progression conducting menial tasks throughout the first, second, and third stages of their development, eventually allowing them full membership as the most junior of the Sisterhood. Novice Sisters bypassing the trials of the Sisters-in-Waiting due to their innate talent or skill. Such promising sisters are tasked with studying witch lore and the practice of combat techniques. Beginning their journey as Witch Seekers, or Seekers for short, their cadres track down wanted criminals, dangerous app-humans, and other genetic abominations which spread mayhem throughout the Imperium. The Chamber of Judgment equivalent, known as a Questora, these warriors differ from their Seeker kin by virtue of their dedication to capture Psykers for the Great Tithe, armed with Charnable, Aldrathic, and snare weapons. Armed with flamers, and on rare occasions assault needlers, these warriors pacify rebellions, chaos uprisings, and prevent interference with Imperial tithes. Prosecutors, the next rank achieved by Null Maidens, considered to be of median tactical import. Most subjects of the Imperium shall never witness their deeds, due to their assignment as members of the League of Black Ships combat missions. Deployed to open engagement war zones rich with targets, the Terran pattern bolters of the Prosecutors roar their pledge of carnage, as each volley fired tears through mutant hordes of the armies of the primordial aggressors. Vigilators, the most senior of the standard classification of Null Maidens, each carries the iconic execution blades of their order into battle, as they engage witches and their thralls in close combat range. Training to deliver decapitation strikes to end such skirmishes quickly and with little fanfare. The speed of these combatants, even when clad in Vratin armor, is a sight to behold. Oblivion Knights bear the right to command cadres of the Sisterhood within the Chamber of Oblivion as the most martially capable warriors of their order. The most powerful of such warriors, known as Knight Centura or Witch Seeker Pursuivant, these mistresses of command, due to their advanced age, are revered for their knowledge, skill for survival, and peerless expertise. Deployed sparingly in large numbers to engage events such as alpha-level Psyker engagements, cadres comprised entirely of the Oblivion Knights elite are known as the Raptora, their lineage tracing back to the honor guard of the Soulless Queen, the Raptor Guard. Armed with the finest weapons of the Sisterhood's arsenal and legends in their own right, the Raptora cadres fight the most devastating foes, alike to their forebears' deeds made against the Thousand Sons of Prospero. the Excruciatius, or Silent Judges, the most senior of the Chamber of Judgment. Their duty to purge the wicked, who conceal psychers destined for the Great Tives, is fulfilled with Purging Flame. Tasked with judging whether a psyker is too dangerous to transport to Holy Terror, these warriors clad in thick red leather coats and mechanical ruby red eyes are said to be promoted upon the 100th witch slain by their hand. Knights Vestal are the most senior of the Chamber of Vigilance, though uniquely, these exemplars can be dispatched to aid myriad subdivisions of the Sisterhood. The equivalent of an apothecary for the Null Maiden's battle lines, these combat medics bear the grim responsibility of discerning whether to heal or grant the Emperor's mercy to their injured kin. Equipped with Narfesium, alike to their Space Marine counterparts, though Silent Sisters bear no progenoid glands to harvest, the diagnostic tools, medical stimulants, and reductor spike allow for quick administration of medicine or painless death. The Nemesis Praxia, responsible for safeguarding the law of the Sisterhood's deeds, as well as Estate Temporal, this High Guardian of the Divisio's trifecta leadership, also oversee the training of acolytes to burgeon new generations of Null Maidens. The Mistress of the Black Ships, responsible for orchestrating the Great Tives to the Master of Mankind, as Grand Admiral of the League of Black Ships fleet. Such a commander is a veteran of countless void wars and voyages through the most perilous sectors of space. Last of the leadership of the Sisterhood is the Knight Commander, also known as a Sister Commander or Vigil Commander. A combat veteran of countless ground wars, with authority to command every cadre of the Null Maidens as she sees fit. Other specialist ranks and units also exist within the Silent Sisterhood for bespoke tactical engagements, such as the oft-forgotten Aquila Astra, who command the aircraft of the Sisterhood. Pursuer cadres tame cyberbeasts to aid their hunt for rogue psychers, flushing such renegades from hiding or pursuing them through tight confines too small for a sister's form to accommodate. Firebrand cadres see to the purge of designated hovels of abhumans, mutants and criminals within the heart of high sprawls. Their flame is denying fleeing souls a chance to escape, as their highly coordinated infernos swallow all within their Promethean embrace. Subjugator cadres ride atop Erinese pattern jet bikes to better scout far-ranging territories and harass individuals ahead of their advancing lines of more heavily armed sisters. Their lightweight, anti-gravitic vehicles, the envy of many an Imperial warrior who witnesses their snare cannons, Hadraphic destructors, or needle cannons' capabilities to capture or destroy their charges. Expurgator cadres containing the spread of information regarding their Sisterhood's activities. To maintain their enigmatic status as among the Imperium's most clandestine orders, great pains are made to burn witnesses with heavy weapons fire. Sanctioner cadres of the Chamber Vigilance identify demagogues, warlords and martyrs, espousing the tenets of the ruinous powers. Their efforts preventing outbursts of calamitous damage to Imperial lives using stealth operations gear, war-spec sensors, and targeted strikes of their long-range Nemesis pattern bolters. Elite Eradicator cadres of the Chamber of Vigilance aiding Imperial allies in their combat against armies in thrall to powerful psychers. Their assignment to military maneuvers, armed with an array of weaponry, allows them to cut through the heart of enemy lines before severing the psychers' connection to their forces. Finally, Silent Fury cadres of the Chamber of Judgment also pilot Erinese pattern jet bikes to cover vast swathes of territory, while allied heavy armor follows their lead. The Silent Furies accompanying Subjugator cadres to capture high-value targets or conduct hit-and-run tactics. Immune to psychic manipulations in their entirety, these beings who bear no presence in the warp cause discomfort and pain to all in their presence, often killed at birth due to the intense unease felt by populations who witness these blanks in reality. No matter one's will, every subject of the Imperium beholds such beings with disgust. These soulless outcasts unknowingly plucking at the fundamental instincts of human life, escalating tensions between those that surround them as anathema to existence itself. Those that bear the most striking presence of such phenomena are inducted into the Silent Sisterhood, their intense aura not only affecting humans, but even Xenos, such as the Eldar and Greenskins. The more powerful the Psyker, the more intense the emotion felt, for it is quite possibly the worst sensation an Eldari can feel, to be tormented by a Null Maiden's presence as they experience horrors of an existential scale. Uncorruptible by the thralls of chaos, Farseers of the Eldar, or any witch kindred of the warp, it is the greatest shame that such useful scars in reality are nonetheless culled en masse by ignorant bystanders. Deflecting walls of warp flame, time manipulation, or atomizing lightning, Even the most powerful librarian falters in single combat with such warriors. The visceral antithesis felt by such psykers, compounding their focus in duels as they desperately struggle to contain bile in their guts or simply collapse as their muscles surrender. Those trained in the arts of the Sisterhood, capable of harnessing their pariah gene to actively disrupt enemy combatants. Tomes such as the Psychana Occultis and Voiceless Judgments of Melena Verdhand, housed within the archives of the Somnus Citadel of Luna, bolster their knowledge of how to combat witches. Favoring flamers, bolters, and power swords as standard, the Null Maidens attack their enemies in waves, led by their prosecutor squads, often using Vratine grenade launchers to disperse enemy groups. Raining hails of bolter fire upon their foes as their Witchseeker kin drive their foes from cover. All who escape the wrath of their ranged armaments fall to the execution blades of their vigilators. Carrying Psych-Out grenades, which contain the cremated ashes of martyred sisters, the remains of their fallen retain traces of their pariah essence and cause those caught in their blast radius to suffer sudden, intense mental trauma. The craftsmanship of their arsenal, second only to the Adeptus Custodes in quality. Though their bolters bear similarity to Terran patterns used by the Adeptus Astartes, these Vratine and Nemesis variants, modified in scale for mortal hands, are regardless not diminished in their firepower capabilities. Execution blades, synonymous with their creed as the symbol of the Emperor's commandments to purge the heretic. These exquisitely forged, two-handed power swords, made to the standards of the ancient Charnable sabers, favored by the Emperor's children of yore, are edged with diamond-hard silica glass. Sharper than even the most venerated weapons of most Space Marine armories, their edge parts foes from their limbs and heads from their necks as easily as a knife through silk. Their Vratine armor, donned upon completion of a Sister Aspirant's vow of tranquility, this armor literally translated as the Armor of the Oath, incorporates selenite voidmail, tailored specifically to its wearer to diminish loss of maneuverability, and can deflect even energy weapons fire with ease. Garbed in Voidsheen cloaks, made from micro-vitreous mesh, which absorbs kinetic energy, whether from melee or ranged weapons, senior commanders wear enhanced designs which incorporate refractor generators into their design. The leaders of the Excruciatius Cadres, clad in bloody red raiment, known as Spectra vestments. Such silent judges shift the hue of their panoplies using field generators to merge into their environments, or surround their position with impenetrable, obscuring darkness. Carrying instruments of torment on their persons, the Excruciatius Cadre fire neurodisruption barbs at dangerous targets to slowly dull their senses through poison. The Proteus Neurolash flails, forged during the Age of Strife, used to subdue multiple opponents at once. Their neural prongs emit shock fields which overload their target's nervous systems, allowing for easy capture or dispatch. Supported by Karan pattern Acquisitor grav tanks, these unique machines of war, used exclusively by the Sisterhood, quietly approach enemy position using Spectro distort fields before unleashing its devastating heavy stubber and missile payloads. Their Alchem Needlers aiding in the capture of Psykers without harming their quarry. Their stocks of ever more potent anesthetics can sunder even the most abhorrent beasts of burden for study. Their League of Black ships, incorporating vessels as small as cruisers to as large as battlecruisers, each is heavily armed to defend from pirates or other, more malevolent foes. Unnoticed by Vox Signal nor Auspex scanners, though none can ascertain the provenance of how the Sisterhood obtained such potent technologies, it is doubtless thanks to the Emperor's favor that hundreds of such vessels scour the stars to obtain morsels for the Golden Throne. Highly automated to reduce the need for mortal crew, the risk of madness imposed by close proximity to the Sisterhood precludes all but the most mentally stable and reliable staff. The largest voidcraft of the fleet, carrying exterminators payloads, typically of the cyclonic torpedo variant. A single rogue psyker, should they be left unchecked, can doom an entire planet to damnation, and thus may only be stemmed with such weapons of annihilation. Among their assembled fleet, the Era Gloris stands as its flagship. Its tenure made during the earliest years of the Great Crusade, present during many of its greatest battles, and even escorting the Imperial Fist Fortress Monastery to the Somnium Citadel as it harbored survivors of the Istvan Free atrocity. For while the scars of heresy remain clear for all to see, to this day, the Pale Scourge of Luna continue to skulk the shadows in the defense of the Imperium. The legacy of these jailers and huntswomen, all the more crucial as the noose of the Cicatrix Maledictum tightens. As a child on Gehenna, I remember the stories of the White Maidens, terrifying ghosts that would come in the night to steal away the Witchborn and children who had done terrible wrongs. It was said that they could find the wicked no matter how deep in the hive they sank, or to what forgotten spire they climbed. As I grew, I came to believe such things were no mere superstition. But now that I am an officer of the Great Crusade, bloodied upon the battlefields of a score of worlds, I have come to find that my childhood fears were true and quite valid. This has been a tale of the Great Imperium of Man, read by the Remembrancer. The Daughters of the Abyss are anathema to all living creatures of the material realm, their unnerving aura damning them to live in the shadows. Yet despite their mistreatment by the mortal citizens of the Imperium, the Null Maidens continue to fight in humanity's name, a thankless task considering the obstacles they must overcome. It is not uncommon for one's own deeds to be taken for granted, or even disparaged, for often those who benefit from them are ungrateful not as a result of malice, but rather ignorance. So should you toil for a righteous cause, stand resolute in the knowledge that even should it not be lauded in the present, it shall nonetheless be recognized by others in the future. For often one's deeds are felt most keenly the moment you are absent from their continuation, and those that ignored their benefit the first to suffer from the void left in your wake, as you set your sights on goals anew.